Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's session of the Municity overview webinar. In today's session, we're going to go over a couple of things, but before we do itinerary, I just want to go over some housekeeping notes. First things first is that this session will be in listen-only mode, so all of your mics will be muted. But in your GoToWebinar interface, you should see a tab in the top corner of your screen that looks like a speech box with a little question mark in it. If you tap on that, that will be where you can enter questions in that I would be more than happy to answer through the course of the presentation. I will also put my email up at the end, so if you want to take any questions offline, we can absolutely do that. But I will be monitoring that. I also do tend to leave the last 10 minutes or so for questions as well. Secondly, the session will be recorded. So if you have to answer phone call, excuse me, or answer the call, tend to the window, anything of that nature, please feel free to do so. I, again, will put my email up where you can contact me to get a copy of that recording. Okay, so itinerary today, we're going to go over the Municity product suite from ICC Community Development. We're going to first look at Municity 5, which is our legacy software, and then we're going to take a look at the next generation that we've been building out that is in the midst of a launch. So it's the new iteration. So we'll take a look at the Municity we know and love and what it does, and then the next chapter. So for those of you that are not familiar with Municity or have not heard of it before, it is a code enforcement software, permitting software, community development needs. So it will also manage licensing, asset management, work orders, anything of that nature. It originally started about 20 years ago. It originally was an on-premise solution, so that means it was installed on your computers. It is now cloud-based, so what that means for us is that it is not installed anywhere on your computer. It is going to be accessible anywhere with an internet connection point. Runs best on Chromium-based browsers, so think like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox. It's going to be device agnostic in that sense. It does also have mobile access, and it's going to be device agnostic there, but we'll talk about that as we look at what Municity does. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and log in. Something to note about Municity is it's a site license or software as a subscription service. So what that means is it is an annual maintenance that is based on your population and the activity that you do per year. So, or number of permits, number of complaints, number of inspections. The number of users, so the seats and departments that are going to be using your software is going to be unlimited. You can have as many using it as you would like. Additionally, as your users, as we set up your users for login, we can also set up different permissions profiles that gives them access to different parts of the software. We can set up read-only users. So all things to think about. Where that comes in especially helpful is if you have maybe like board or council members that you would like to provide access to run reports. Or maybe you have an outside inspection firm that does your frequency inspections and you want to have them pop into the software, include their findings, and then hop out of it. All of that can be accomplished with Municity. All right, so now that we're logged in, this is Municity 5. So what we're looking at right here is the search screen. We do also have a tab on the left-hand side that'll bring us to some areas that we'll be using more often. So the search, that'll pull up this box. We have dashboards. Dashboards are going to be a collection or an aggregate of pretty much anything that you are capturing in Municity that you would like to be in a listing format. So dashboards are especially helpful for capturing things like online applications because Municity has a public portal, public access point where you can collect fees and applications. So if I want to make sure that in the building department, we're capturing all of the building department applications that come online. I can collect my applications that don't have paid fees or my permits without unpaid fees. So when I open that dashboard, it's going to show me all of those. Daily inspections. Even something like the expiring licensures within 30 days. We can have all of those kinds of um, rules set up for your dashboard. So pretty much if you can think it, we can create a dashboard for it. Okay. There is also a calendar. This is a shared calendar for your users. Everyone will have access to this. As you can see on the left-hand side, all users will have a color code so you can see appointments, inspections. We can do events. You can block days from the calendar. There is a calendar scheduler here that you can come into and you can block specific days. You can set limits by department. So maybe my electrical department only does a certain number of inspections on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is where you can set all of those rules in here for your month at a time. But we'll talk more about that when we talk about inspections. Let's actually jump into the software and see how Municity manages. So here we've got our search box. You can see that I have it set to parcel. So this is going to search across my parcels. But if I click this down caret here, it is going to search across everything I have that I'm capturing within Municity if I select that category. So I can search across all permits, all licenses, etc. We're going to stick to parcel today because 9 times out of 10, what you're going to be looking for is going to be related to a parcel. So we'll stick with that. When I have my parcel, I can search by address, name, tax ID, whatever makes sense to me. So for example, I type in Mario here, it's going to find Mario. I type in Harvard, it's going to find everything on Harvard Street. But here we're going to do a pointed address search. I'll double click on my result and what'll pop up for me is my parcel. How do we get your parcels in the system? So that can be either through a GIS layer. So if you have the county has a GIS or you have an engineering department that has a GIS layer that captures things like owner information, the parcel ID, inventory information, all of that can be pulled into Municity and captured. As you can see, we have fields for things like is it in the flood zone, wetlands. We can also set up update frequencies with that. So if you would like that to be updated at like weekly basis, monthly basis, anything of that nature. All right. Down below here, there's these groups and fields. These are all highly configurable pieces of information. They allow us to have front and center data. So I can go to property info, see that. I can manually update this information or it can be pulled from that data source. We can also make these as specific as possible. So here I've got, are chickens allowed on the property, yes or no? Or is this a short-term rental? So we can really create these for pretty much anything. We can also lock down permissions on these. So if you would prefer it to be no one can edit these except for like admin users, we can set those permissions profiles. There's also free form text space for you to add notes as you please. And then that'll be your front page here of your parcels. You'll also notice there is a contacts tab. This is where you can find who is involved. So ownership records will come in with your parcel information. But you can also attach if you're managing things like rentals or landlord registrations. You can identify in the contacts field here via these cards who is in what role on this particular property. This is also helpful if you are doing like a bulk generation of notices or letters. Let's say I had to notify this property that we're coming on doing a grass abatement. When I populate my letters, I can make sure it hits each contact regardless of their role on here. Next is items, but we'll come back to that. I just want to make sure we talk about the media tab. So this is an area, I want you to think of it like a container. We'll see this on everything from applications to permits to inspections and complaints and more. This is an area where we are able to upload or um, when it comes to inspections, when you're in the field, you can snap photos and put them in here. So this is an area for you to keep all of your relevant documentation attached to whatever you're looking at. So in this case, I'm looking at a parcel. So I have a bunch of parcel information reports here. and some plans. But if I was on an application, maybe I would just have the specific plans on the application, maybe like a receipt or something. But all of that is within here that I can open up. We do also integrate with plan review tools. So if you had like a DigiPlan, you wanted to integrate with this, you wanted to pull this into DigiPlan, mark it up, add ordinances, highlights, and save it back in here. You could absolutely do that with that integration. Actually, if I go to overview here, it would be living in this section, a button that says push to DigiPlan. Um, Also with the media, you can not only upload, but we can generate information from here. So we call these printouts. You'll see there's a little print button here. What'll roll down for me is a menu of documents. We can create these for pretty much anything. Your permits, you'll have your permit and maybe a receipt or an invoice, etc. It can look however you would like it to look. And we will look at that momentarily. Now I'm going to head over to the left-hand side here and we're going to go back to items or into items. This is really kind of the meat and potatoes of the software. This is where you're going to find everything that is related to this specific parcel. So as you can see, it opened up a sub menu for me. That sub menu is going to highlight everything that I have attached to this particular parcel when I click on that category. So I've got my applications in here, my complaints, fees, etc. It's also going to show me a grid. Within this grid, I get more information on what's going on. So here I've got my building applications. I can see the numbers, application dates. I can also come in here and filter. So this grid is filterable. So if I just want to see what's happening in my planning department, I can type that in. I can open any of these applications to look at them. So if I double click on this one, I can see it was an online submission for a subdivision. Bruce Banner submitted it. I can come down here and look at all my details. These groups and fields we can tailor for each different application type to make sure that you're gathering what you need. As you can see, I have a subdivision details group here. That is going to allow me to make sure that I get what I need data-wise for this particular application. If I had a fence application, this would say probably fence details. So there is a customization here where we can make sure that each of your applications is collecting what it needs. The application itself also has a contacts field, so you can see who is involved here. This will also come into play with a public portal perspective. So if you have an owner and a contractor tapping in, they would all both be able to contact you through the public portal, pay fees, submit documents, anything of that nature. As long as the contact card is on the application, they will have access to that through their own profiles that they will create. So similar to like a Walmart.com, they'll have their little profile where they can see what they've submitted. My items of my application is going to show me my emails that have gone out. So it looks like there was an inspection scheduled. There was a request for payment of the fee, which looks like the fee is still unpaid. So I can come in here, I can send another request for payment. I can generate an invoice for them. So again, if I come up to my printouts here and I go and generate my invoice, I can tap on that and the system will create that document for me that I can then email or I can print it and hand it to them. Regardless, it'll drop a copy of that in my media tab. I can also pay the fee. So if I wanted to come in here, I could select from my contacts who paid the fee, how they paid it. We can configure all different options in here for you. We can also integrate with a credit card payment processor. We do not do the money handling for credit card payments, but we do integrate with like Forte, Catalyst, Stripe, all of those processors that will allow you to have terminal payments or online fee payments through your public portal. There's also voids of fees and adjustments. Those are all permissions dependent here. This is also where I can come in here and see attached inspections. So here I've got an inspection. I can come in here. I can see in the items tab, there was a checklist that the inspector needed to go through. So for certain inspectors, we can have that point by point inspection. When was this scheduled for? 3:10. We'll go look at that in mobile momentarily. And then there's tasking. So tasking I like to go over. This is essentially your way of tracking any sort of internal event that needs to occur prior to an approval or a rejection of this application. This is how we're going to manage different departments being involved, any sort of sign-offs, anything that needs a name and a date associated with it. We can assign statuses to these, something as simple as done or not done. We can also have like an in process. Um, some of our clients will get really into the weeds here where they'll be able to open them up and you can write different conditions or notes in here that others have access to. You can have any sort of printout or summary documents here. So this is really a way for you to track from A to Z what needs to be done for these applications. Alrighty. And then inputting an application is also pretty simple. We have these buttons here that will open up your online form here. So this is from the staff perspective, what you guys would be putting in. The online is pretty similar. Instead, it goes step by step with fields for them to fill out. So this is for you guys internally. You will select your application type based on the drop down, and that will fill in some preloaded information for you like fees, inspections. As you can see, I have deck permit, but if I switch this over to something like my pole barn, that'll auto adjust. It'll add my pole barn fees and my inspections. So we can really tailor out all of your different application types here. Complaints are going to operate pretty similarly. As you can see, I've got them in the grid here. I can open them up to get details from my groups and fields. There's a media tab here, which will allow me to come in and look at any sort of generated document. So here's the complaint summary. There's a picture of the high grass that was in there. I can go to my items here and I can see that there's 3 violations recorded on here, and I can see the statuses of them. So that we can incorporate here as well. On that note with violations, with a Municity subscription, I want to note that you get up to 20 of the ICC code books included. So how that would work is we would be able to import 20 of your selection. So whether that's like the 2025 New York State codes, or I want the international residential codes, anything of that nature, as long as it's digital in our library, we can pull it in. And then we can also pull in your local municipal code. So if you have like an E-code ALP, or I'm sorry, ALP 360 or an E-code 360, those can also be pulled in for citation. Not only do we have it here where they can be noted on your inspections, they can also be noted on your checklists. And then we do also have on the sidebar an ordinance code lookup where you can open up one of your tabs here and you can go ahead and run a search. I don't have anything with stair. Maybe I'll search fire for my fire code and see what populates for me. But we will check through. Now I want to show you how this looks in the mobile perspective, and then we'll take a look at Municity Next Gen. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I want to show you some reporting in here before we flip out to mobile. For very important stuff. The reporting we have in here are a couple of different kinds. I'm going to talk to you through, run you through the highlights. Our first is Logi reports. So this is a built-in reporting system that is going to rely on you selecting your category. So you'll choose my complaints. I want all of my complaint reports, and you can throw in a date. So here I want the last year, 13 months of my complaints. I can go ahead and run that report, and Municity is going to pull it all for me with these columns. They'll also give you little summaries down at the bottom here if you need that kind of information for like state reporting. There's also filters at the top, so if I just want to see a specific department, it'll whittle it down for me. These are also exportable to PDF, Excel, email, whatever your preference. They're meant to be accessible and shareable. And then we do have word reports, which is bulk generation. So if I needed to do like expiring permit letters, I would choose my category. And then I would choose my report under that category. So under permits, I have 21 different reports. I'm going to go for my expired letters, everything that expires in May. And then I'm going to generate them. and it'll create those letters for me. It'll also give me the data. So if I want to do like an email mail merge, excuse me, I could do such a thing here. And then we do also give you the raw SQL here if you wanted to put it in like a Power BI or something similar. Okay, let's check out mobile. So again, device agnostic here. You can use whatever you're comfortable with. We just recommend at least 8 inches of screen space. Um, that is because, as you can see here, what's going to load in for you is going to be a map in your calendar. Your calendar will have your assignments on here. So as you can see, you can click on a given day and it will give you your assignments down below. Your inspectors will be able to tap in here, come in and open their inspections. They can read through the details. At the bottom here, there's general notes that they can tap and write in or speak to text in. We can also have what are called standardized comments. So we can have a little library of comments here that'll pre-fill if that's easier as well. And then what I wanted to show you here is checklisting from the mobile perspective. So if you have those point-by-point inspections where you all need to be very uniform, you can come in here, go to your checklist, open it, and there's your digital clipboard. So from here, you can come through, you can go through each section, pass, fail, not applicable, not observed. I can open up any of these and add images, or we can put codes in here. Whatever your preference is going to be, we can construct these for your different inspection types. Once you're done, you can submit them. You'd be able to create violations for failed items. You have your printables here from the mobile as well. So if you wanted to do a failed inspection notice, past inspection notice, periodic inspection results, where it'll pull in everything from your checklist, we can construct whatever you would like. I can then email this, but regardless, it's going to leave a copy of it in here for me. All right. So once again, I'll remind you guys that there is a questions box here. I do see there's a question. Will the software be able to interact with Locus? Um, so Municity does have the ability to integrate with a bunch of different softwares. I think I would need to know what the use case is for that, or what you would be looking to get out of that integration. Municity has a bunch of different ways that we can interact. Sometimes it's a data export for best or for batch consumption, or sometimes it needs something a little more. So that is certainly something that is possible. We would just have to look at it. Okay, so now that we've looked at Municity 5, what I want to show you guys now is Municity Next Gen, and this is Municity Core. So this is for users who are looking for something that has a little bit more of a modern interface. You want maybe more under the hood controls for your software. This provides a lot more admin control where you don't have to be asking the support desk to make changes to the back end of your software. And this is also provides what has been a large wish list item for us, which is workflows in your application processes or your data entry processes. Where Municity 5, we had task tracking. This Municity core is where we've really gotten into being able to set workflows per applications, which we'll take a look at here. So let's jump in. Same idea where you're going to have your username and password you'll log into, but immediately you can see the interface here. It's a little brighter, fresher. We've added some customization capabilities here where you can come in and put on dark mode. There's different colors here that you can set. So if you have the high contrast preference here, you're more than welcome to do that. There's also down here notification settings. I like to call these out because this was a very common feedback we got for users that wanted to set how they were going to be notified of their work. I have an upcoming inspection. I have a permit assigned to me. I have a task assigned to me. This allows you to set whether you want that to be a notification via SMS text, emails, pop-ups on your browser, or toast pop-ups, which are pop-ups from the software. Once you've got that set, you are now in the software, and this is how we are going to interact. We have our same sidebar here. If I wanted this to be a little smaller, I can condense it. But we've got our sidebar where we still have our dashboards. So this will allow us to come in here and again, view all of that information. It just looks a little bit different here. I can also open this information from my dashboard. So if I wanted to open this accessory structure permit, I can do so. It'll open in a tab. And now what it's done is it's opened it up to the workflow that I was in within this actual application. It needs an inspection to be completed. That's what I can tell by the color coding from my workflow here. And also if I look at my guide at the top here and hover over it, it's going to tell me what's in progress, what's completed, and what's not started. This is to make sure that we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's at every step of the process. So we have our initial submission. We have our, once it's submitted, the review with the staff. We have the permit issuance. So those inspections that are required for the issuance, and then it'll end up in a certificate or whatever that's going to be. In this workflow, I can go through each step here and make sure all of my details are correct. So this is all highly configurable information based on your permit types. The fees are also going to be listed here, and they're also going to be nested. So I can come in here and make sure if certain ones need to be paid, certain ones don't need to be paid. We can tailor all of that for you. Then you have your inspections. You can go out and do your inspections still from here. This is going to be a little bit different in the sense that you're not going out to a different mobile site. This will just condense. So if I open Municity on my phone, it'll just go ahead to a mobile interface. If I want to maybe open up a tablet, so if I want to do it on my Galaxy tablet, I can go ahead and what Municity will do is it'll bend to that view. I can even put this in a landscape view here. Sorry, my computer's a little bit on the slow side today. But you can come in here and I can turn it landscape and it'll load in my landscape view as well. So no matter what device you're on, you have access to all your information. You can input information, look up information all from here. All right. So I talked a little bit about the permitting and workflows, but I want to show you where you can manage that from. So on the sidebar, you'll see there's an addition here of this admin section. This is really where you have the access to come in here. Admin users will be able to set different users. So if you have new employees and you need to add them, you can and add their particular profile, what kind of profile they're going to have. You can set those user profiles. So you can go down the minutia here and who can create, update, report, and you can change these permissions if you need to. Set up all different kinds of profiles based on who's going to be using your software. You can also, there's citizen site settings in here. So this is where you'll be able to come in, set up your public portal, put your logo, your background, any sort of text. And then from here, you can manage what kinds of departments, what applications will be available. So you can really tailor this all from the comfort of your office here. You can also send support messages. So in wintertime, there's a lot of snow. The support message will pop up on your public site that says, yes, we're aware of the snow. We are taking care of it. You have template editors where you can come in here and let's say I want to look at my permits. You can come in here and edit your permit printouts. We've changed our logos. You can come in here and edit your logos on all of your printables. So you guys really have the keys to the castle here. Set up entities is where you're able to come in and make changes. So if I go to permits here, you can see I've got everything configured. If I go in here and hit edit, it'll open up a nice side window for me where I can go through each step. So the name of the permit, what department is going to be responsible for this. You can set up a static description that's going to populate every time. whether it's commercial or residential, short versus long explanations. This is what shows up on that public portal here underneath. You can also set your fees, default fees, so your whole list of fees will be in here for you to select from, what certificate or printable it's going to end up as, and then you can set your workflows. So does the workflow need the fees and tasks to be completed, or can we just set it to complete at any time? All of those rules you can go through. There's tons of different options in here for workflows, and they can be different per different application type. There's also flags down here where you can set some of your applications to be public, some of them to be not. So maybe you're from a jurisdiction where we want to start with an online presence, but we want to really kind of drip feed that to our public because they're not used to it. That's where you can set maybe like 5 or 10 of these to be public, and as you get comfortable, you can add more. You can also take ones down if you need to make changes to them and put them back up. So once again, you guys have full agency here within the creation. Also, if you have one of these you like, so here's my edition commercial, and like I want a residential one. I don't really want to change much on it though. I can go ahead and copy this, duplicate it essentially, and change the name. So try to make this as simple as possible for you guys to be able to come in here and adjust. And as you can see here, you can do this for pretty much everything. My inspections are in here, my fees are in here, etc. There is also a map in here that I just wanted to call out for you. This will have your base map of your jurisdiction, and there's different views that you can utilize. So there's a property view that will allow you to open up properties. You can also create information from here. So if I wanted to create a work order, orphaned and child. Orphaned means that it's not attached to a parcel. So think like a right-of-way permit, or maybe I'm identifying a crack in the sidewalk for a work order or something of that nature. Child entity would be I'm adding like an inspection to a permit or something like that. So all of that's in here as well. Then we have our calendar. We have some nice updates to our calendar here. There's different calendar settings where you can adjust what you want to see on your calendar. If you want to see weekends, you can sort by status here. So if you only want to see your open inspections, you can. There is also here unscheduled inspections queue that you can work from. So if you have inspections that have not made it to the calendar yet and you wanted to go through, maybe I have some time in the afternoon, I'm going to start assigning them, you can work from this queue here and start dragging them onto the calendar. As you can see, it's not only inspections, but I can also have things like a court appearance. I can see, okay, Matt went at 8 a.m. He didn't enter the outcome here, but it's on my calendar. All right, and then of course we still have our reporting in here. So this is very similar to what we saw for Logi reports. So if I grab my report selection drop down here, what's gonna populate for me is I'm gonna have all my categories, and then I would just select my report. So here I can do complaint reports. Same idea, you would just put in your date ranges, run your report, and it's going to spit out all of your results for you. Again, we have filters up here if you want to do it by type or department. You can save this search if it's something you're going to be running more often. There's also a little history button here that will allow you to see how many times it was run or who was the last person who ran that particular report. In the same vein of reporting and dashboards, I want to go over some search functionality here as well. So if I hop up into the search here, it's going to look similar to what we saw for Municity 5, where I do have the categories I can select. But a nice change you'll notice here is I've got these little stars, and I can select by tapping into these stars. And what it'll allow me to do is save them. So they're my categories, my most used categories to search across. So from here, if I have parcel, I can go in here and put in Harvard, run that search, and it'll populate my results for me. But what's another change here is we've included a toggler for advanced search. So you'll see I hit this advanced search, it's going to open up a new interface for me. So this is for users that want to do very highly specific searches. So right now I'm under a parcel, but let's take this to complaints. I want to search across my complaints. I want to search for my high grade, or actually, I don't want to do complaint type. Let's do all of my statuses of open. I can run a search of that. It's going to give me my results. But let's add another condition. I want, or not a condition, excuse me. I want to add a search condition. So I also want to see everything that's maybe from the building department. I can even go one step further here, and I can say, and I want to see the complaints that are on a parcel in this city. Or I want to see complaints that have violations on them, or this type of violation dates on them. So you guys can add as many rules or exclusions in here into your searches, and you can update your search and save your search. If this is something you like and you want to use more often, you can save it, you can rename it, and it'll be under your saved configurations here. Something else that's cool, if you have a configuration that you really, really like and you want to share with others, there is a pop out to a report or a dashboard as well. So creating a dashboard will create one of these for you, or it will then be a live update of all of that information for you on that dashboard. And then your ordinances are still in here. I do want to call that out, that you do still have those 20 ICC code books and that local municipal code in here for pull into your inspections. The core functionality of Municity remains the same, with a fresh coat of paint and some additional quality of life enhancements with workflows, admin control, and a bunch of other cool things on our roadmap that we have coming out, like new planning and zoning tools regarding the management of those processes, items surrounding time and materials tracking with work orders, and more. So we're looking forward to the release of all of those features with our Municity Core product here. Alrighty, so that is a lot of information in a short amount of time that I have hit you guys with. So what I want to do now is turn it over to questions. I'm also going to put my contact information up on the screen here. So you can email me if you have any questions, or maybe if you want to do a privatized demo, or if you have a would like access to the recording, I'd be more than happy to help with any of those. I will stick around as long as I would need to for the for questions. Once again, there is a tab on your GoToWebinar menu with a questions box where you can go ahead and enter your questions. I would be more than happy to answer those. All right, thank you for providing that email address. I will have the account rep for your area reach out to you so we can set up a time to talk. Thank you so much for that information. I will pass that along and we can talk further. Thank you. Okay, I see the questions are slowing down, so I will hang out a couple more minutes here, but if you do have to jump off, I do appreciate you spending an hour of your Thursday afternoon. I do appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a very safe and happy holiday weekend. Thank you so much. All right, folks, I will be yielding you back 15 minutes of your afternoon. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.